Oh, we're just getting ready to go and put a portable garden in. So I've made these stands, and pretty exciting. They're about 765 tall and 600 wide. And I've made, I think, 5 of them. So I'm just going to lay some beams across this way, and now I'm going to cut some metal. So that's just all second-hand scrap, actually third-hand. It's had two lives already, and now it's going into its third life cycle. I want this to be 700 wide. The boxes that are going on are 600 wide. And the place it's going in is quite narrow, so I've just, my own personal use, I leave them the full size. That's early Saturday morning, and just looking at a little pile of junk here that I've pre-prepared for our garden. So alright, well, we're here today to set up a little garden, and this is very restricted. It's a rental property, and they've got some landscaping here and a little courtyard, which of course you want to have, but this is all rocks and greenery. So the only spot that, and there's no backyard, like that's it. This comes, so this is our space here, and this is why I've trimmed up the sheets. They're a little bit narrow, so we just want to not hinder the sidewalk later. So these are my little frames, so we're just going to start setting those up now. A little bit. I like to fold these corners around, so the grandkids or nobody gets caught.
All right.
And real fast.
Nice.
So this is lettuce that I planted from seed, and I'm just going to dig some up like that, and there's just a little one there. So what I do, I try and plant 6 in a box like this. When they start growing, once they get, like that size, I usually harvest 3 of them and then leave 3 in the box so that you get a nice big plant. And then what you do is just, when you want to make a salad, you just come along and grab, a couple leaves off one. You try not to rob the whole plant of all its leaves, otherwise it'll make it a bit crook. So in my little greenhouse, I have a little stainless steel pair of scissors, and then Dorothy will come along with a bowl, and she'll just snip whatever she wants and fill up the salad bowl, and then she leaves the scissors hanging there. Yep. So there's actually 2 of them right there.
Yep.
So you just try and, they just do much better when they're on their own. You put them too close together, and that's a mistake people make. They get a pack of seeds and they fill up the whole thing with seeds. You're going to get nothing. You waste your whole pack of seed, and I'll show you here. So this is mixed lettuce, and contains 1,200 seeds. So you can see here I've got 6, and I've got 12 there. So you could do that 100 times if you're, with extreme luck, to get every seed to germinate and grow. But one packet like this should last you a whole season. You just I plant maybe 50 seeds in a box,
yep.
And I do that every 2 weeks, and then you just have a continual supply of. So what you do with this one, you can just take most of the lettuce out of there, and then just leave the bigger ones, and then that becomes another box as well. So you've already got 3 boxes with lettuce. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put them under here. I'll do this, and then I'll put them in the shade and leave them there for 2 or 3 days till they start to get some roots. Because if you get, especially in the summer, if they cook for 2 hours in the sun, like today is not too bad maybe, but if they get too hot, they just can't take it, and then you get a high mortality rate. And the challenge will be to keep your soil fertile. So it's really rich, probably too rich at the moment, because I've got all this horse manure in there. And a good thing to do is to find out in the neighborhood where people are dumping the grass clippings, because a lot of people, they just chuck it in a pile somewhere. I know behind, well, I don't think they've developed that now. It used to be near Woolies, there was a place where people would just cut their grass, they would just dump it on the corner. And you can get those grass clippings, and then put them in here, and mix it in with your vegetable, all your offcuts from your table scraps. Just mix it in there, and that's why I made this lid. So that should be pretty well mouse proof. And so you've got 2 of those, and by the time that one's full, then you can just leave it, and then you start on this one, and then you take the lid from that one and put it on this one. And then by that time, that should be pretty much ready to put in here. So then what happens as well is when this is finished, it's a good idea to dump it out and mix it with fresh soil, and just keep on rejuvenating that soil. So that's a good way to move it as well. See that one there is stuck right in a lump of dirt. So that one's going to grow for sure, because it's not getting its roots disturbed. And there's still lots in there, so we'll just leave that for now. So you've got basically 4 boxes of lettuce. And you can leave it, you can do it again. So I'm going to just get some water on here now. Sometimes what I do when I'm doing this, I just... Now this soil is quite dry. We'll put that bucket here.
Okay.
And see how long it takes. There we go. We've got water coming already. Like mint? Do you eat much mint or anything? Or?
Yeah.
I brought you a plant. So we can stick that in one of these boxes. I generally, with these, I like the higher boxes for stuff that's going to stay permanently. So, oh, you got a couple worms. So it's going to be your first worms for your property. I'll put them in there. And I might just put that right in the middle of the box and just see where it grows. It's quite invasive. Oh, there's a couple more worms. So that's good. So you got some worms, and they'll just keep on multiplying if you look after them. Let me just cover them up. I'll try and get you some more. Actually, you'll have a lot of worms in that in the lettuce one there. So you can just spread them around to all the boxes, and they will. Yeah, they're little farmers for you. They'll work on your garden. All right. Well, we'll plant some stuff now. So we're going to plant more lettuce, and I'm just going to get one. This has got a little tag on it, which is kind of handy. But what I do, I just get a. You can use anything. And some people like to put a date on it. I never bother. Lettuce. And all this stuff, any weeds, anything you don't, all your table scraps, just keep putting it in there.
Yep.
And that will give you free fertilizer and
I need
more
the
soil.
plastic bag in the freezer.
So what we do is we just have a little plastic container, about a 4-liter container on the bench top. Every time banana peels, orange peels, anything, we just keep putting it in there. And then when it's full, like once a day, I bring it to the chickens. But when I don't have any chickens, then I always put it in a compost. So there's a little packet like that in there. And I'll just open up one corner. So it doesn't look like much. 1,200 seeds.
Mm.
And most people just shake the whole packet out onto the top. But what we're going to do is we're just going to carefully, I'm left-handed, but you don't want a great deal. Hard to say how many that is, 20 seeds maybe. So I just fold that back up. And you want to put that in a cool, dark place. So I'll leave that with you. And this here is coriander. And I just buy that at the Asian grocer in a big bag of it. This is already slightly out of date. That's just an empty bag. So I take a handful of it. And if you go to the shop, you pay $3.50 or $4 for that many seeds in a packet if you buy a little packet like that. So if you get them at the Asian grocer, then much better value. So I just go like that and rub it in. And not everyone's going to germinate. But when the seeds are that cheap, it doesn't really matter. Now these will take about 10 or more days maybe to germinate. And that there, I mean, I don't even put any dirt on top. The rule of thumb is that as the thickness of the seed is how much dirt you put on top of it. Right. With this here, we'll just water it, and so that's coriander. And what have we got left? That's cos lettuce. I'll leave you that one as well. I think it's the use-by date is 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You can try it, see if it grows. Yeah. It's called rocket.
Salad leaves.
Yeah, we put it in the salad. It's got chives. I'm going to write on there rocket. This is just on its expiry date now as well. I always have like a stockpile of seeds. I just buy them and I always have extra seeds. I think you get 1,000 in here. And I don't know how many I put out. But if you put 100 seeds in a box, you could do that 10 times. So if you do that every, say, 3 weeks, it lasts you for a long time. That's, over half a year. And that's probably not 100 seeds. I don't know, would it be 50 seeds?
Yeah.
So the cheapest way to go. If you buy a little punnet of seedlings, you pay $3 or $4 for that, and you got enough for $1.
Mm.
And there's a good reason to not buy them as well, which is that a lot of times they're stale before you get them, like they should have been. They're just in tiny little bits of dirt, and they got to grow them somewhere, bring them to wherever you buy them from, and then you take them home, put them in the car with the other groceries or whatever you've done, and they get really stressed out, and then you don't plant them right away. So here, if you've got these growing, not that I generally don't transplant these. I don't transplant the coriander, just the lettuce. But you get it to the day you want to do it, and you just give it a watering so the soil is moist. Dig it up, plant it. It minimizes the amount of shock and stress that. So I'll give you those. We'll just put them over here, and that's about it. So you just give that a watering when you want to. Well, that's a bit of charcoal, which is good for your soil as well. So you've got some empty boxes, so you can do what you want with that. But I would, well, it just depends what you want to do. The best crops are things that you're going to just eat the plant. If you're going to grow tomatoes, I think it's not worth it. you may want to do it for fun of it. People just do it. But you've got to grow the plant. Same with beans or carrots or anything like that. Carrots, yeah, I've never had much. Just the salad crops seem to work. You just plant them quickly. Then there's other things you can put herbs, different herbs in there. Mint, you've got mint. Parsley, I buy the parsley in punnets, and I look for ones that they had the shakes when they were putting them in the thing, so you get maybe 20 little parsley plants. And then I soak them, and then separate them and plant them out, and they'll last for 2 years, a parsley plant. So you can, I have like 3 or 4 of these boxes at home, just with parsley, and then you just keep trimming them, and they, if you have enough, then it keeps regenerating. So that might be a consideration if you like parsley. You can buy the Italian parsley. I usually plant that from seed. Another one is basil, if you like basil. Again, if you buy a pack of seed, don't think you got to dump the whole pack in there. Just plant 6 or 8 seeds, and then keep the rest. And you've got a backup of seeds. You can just keep planting fresh ones all the time. And if you get mosquito problems with it as well, if you get too many mosquitoes, sometimes they always will go into a wet source like that. Then you take the bucket and you just pour it on all the containers, and the water will filter through the soil, and the mosquito larvae will get stranded in the soil, and you'll get a microscopic amount of fertilizer going into your plants, but it'll wipe out the mosquitoes, and then you put a bucket back and you'll catch that water again. All right. Keep your compost. That's the biggest thing for nutrition in the garden. So I'll leave you those seeds, and I'll put my toys away, and I'm out of here. So here we are. It's been a couple of weeks, and this is our original seed bed of lettuce. That's a weed. You just pull that out of there. Just lay it on top. It'll just break down. And these mostly have all caught. It looks like there's one missing in the corner. But these are all, and you can see there's a variety there. That's more of a reddish one. Still quite green, but it will redden up, and that's more of the mignon or whatever it is, a lighter one. So it's like 3 light ones and a red one. And I've got a couple there. Might be a little bit dry. It's hard to say. There's a big crack in there. It is moist, and they look all right. And there we go again, a couple of different varieties in there. Even that little one there looks like it's struggling, but it should be okay. And this is the coriander. So this is 2 weeks. 2 weeks of coriander, and it's all nicely germinated. Unfortunately here, we've got two beds of lettuce, and we've got 2 beds of nothing. That didn't work. And there's our mint. That looks all right. And this is rocket, and that's grown quite well. And what they've done here, they've taken grass clippings and just stretched the soil a bit with it, and actually makes quite a lighter box as well. So this is just rotting away, and that'll be ready for transplanting if we ever get some more lettuce. And here as well. So they found some grass clippings in the neighborhood, so they're putting that in there. And what have we got in here? And there's some compost. Let's just dump this on top of here. There's got a lot of lettuce on the go. I brought some more plants over. So that's, actually it's a little one in there. I'm going to just pull that out. Another one there. We'll just let those die off. A couple of weeds and another little lettuce plant there. But I've got the main root intact here, so that should transplant quite nicely. And that's a good spot for it. We'll just get rid of all these little weeds before they start becoming not a bad. I might just put one here. Bit of hard lump there. but I'm going to put another one. That corner here. Just put a bit more soil around that one. Well, I think we need to plant some more rocket if you've got seed left. It's definitely due for another crop of rocket. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Lovely, yeah. You still got way more than you need, but that's okay. You know, they won't all survive. And, yeah. Yeah, it should do it. You know, the temptation is to sprinkle them all out there, but just, so this is, I don't know if this shows how many are in this packet. We might have torn that off already. Right up in the top corner, usually they show the number. But generally you get 800 or 1,000 seeds. So 8 to 14 days. So you know, you've got to keep ahead of it all the time. So and you don't cover that up. Just give it a watering, and that should be good to go. You've got lots of lettuce. Well, a good thing to do now would be to go to another empty box and plant. Just plant the same way. Plant some lettuce seed, and then you'll have these, because these will get bigger, and then you want to replace them. Always want to have some fresh stock coming on. You need to plan it out. You got lots of lettuce. Okay. So this is homegrown cos lettuce, and
sprinkle in.
yeah, you're gonna just be let's put some in my hand and have a look at it. So there's a lot of leaves in there, and there's a head right there. That's not even opened up. There we go. Once you open that up, there's a few. It's hard to say. There's a few seeds there. Anyway, it always looks like there's none in there, but you can just put as many as you want, really, because there's that much seed. Yeah. But the trouble is, if it gets too thick, then you struggle to separate them when they start growing. Exactly. I'd put a bit more than that in there, and do the outside corners as well, because it's just a good place to harvest one from. Yeah, that should be heaps, more than enough. So that there, if you look at this here, you see the crack? I'm just going to get that camera there, and you see the crack all along the edge there?
Yep.
That's just quite dry. And sometimes it's good to water it, and just give it a light water, because when it gets like that, the water just runs right through it. Yeah. I notice you've got quite a lot of water in your, we'll just go over here actually, in your buckets, and it's quite dark as well. Very dark, so that's very rich, and might be too strong. But I guess if you water less, but then come back in half an hour and just give it a little bit more, and then just what I have under mine, I actually have little trays, and I let the water fill up the tray underneath it on the bottom here. Yeah. And then it seems to soak back up into the mix. But anyway, it's just one of those things. It's all time and energy, but this looks pretty good here. These are weeds. A little bit of grass there. We've got a good crop of basil. I might pull a couple of those out actually. We'll try and move them over to another box. So I'll just turn. So we're just going to look in these compost buckets here. And the box is going in.
Mixing that one over there and this one over here.
Alright, so what we're going to do, I brought an old fork over, and it's quite gluggy. And but I'm going to tip it over into here. And then I'm going to tip this one on top of that. And put that back. And just break that up a bit. It's got a good moisture content. And then, so I notice you've got some grass clippings here, which is good. So what we'll do is put a little bit of grass clippings down there, like that. And you can just put some table scraps on there as they build up. And when you've got a layer like that, put another layer of grass clippings on top.
Okay, just mix it in.
And you can mix it in a little bit, and then and just keep repeating the process, and just fill that one. By the time you got that one full, you'll be able to start picking out of there.
Okay.
And when you get like one of your lettuce boxes there, when it gets to the end of its use by date, you could tip it in there as well, and mix that in with it. So we'll just cover that up, and in a couple of weeks' time, that'll be just a whole bucket full of ready-to-use compost. All right. Did you want to move some of those, or you want to leave them?
Some reading. Good. That'd be all right.
Well, there's too many in there.
Oh, is it?
They're
Okay,
too
I'll
crowded,
move some out.
I'm going to use this taller box here because they're a plant that you'll keep for quite a while.
Okay.
So, like just here, right there, you've got probably 15 or 20 plants right there. And might be a little bit small yet, but being small, they see what you got there. 2, 4, 6. You've got 8 right there.
Okay.
And that's enough for the whole box, or even too many. But we'll just put the clump there together, and I might just pull that one out. We got one little one there, and one there. And the nice thing about a big box full like that, you've got insurance. If these don't work, you can always, a few stones in there, you can just come back and do it again. Alright, so that gives us, I think, 9 plants there. It's just hard to throw them away, isn't it? Too many. But that's not too bad. So we'll give that a watering. And let's plant some rocket. You want to grab some rocket seed, and
Rocket seed.
we'll plant that. So we can just close that up. Even this has nothing in it, but I'd like to keep it watered because there's worms growing in there. And the water's dripping down and collecting in that bucket there. Well, it's been about a year, and we're moving. This is a little garden. Looks pretty good, actually. I haven't been here for ages. Water reservoir there, and compost. They've got it marked, food scrap, and that's grass clippings in there. It looks like it's good. Too much lettuce, but too crowded. But it's growing well. Some silver beet. More lettuce. Looks like a zucchini. A little one growing in there. Somewhere. There he is. No, that's good. And I'm going to get a couple tools. We're going to take this apart. Rescuing some worms. There. Look at that. Some red wrigglers. They started off with hardly any worms. Now they're coming out the side there. I'll let them go back in. And I'll just scoop up some of this dirt. Look at them all on the... Worms everywhere. Worms are a good sign. That's a barometer of your success with the soil and everything. Few bucks. This garden is actually a pretty good spot. It just gets more sun than I get. Well, we're nearly ready to go. And I've looked at the compost. Well, you know what compost looks like, but that's good. They've done a good job here. So I'm just going to turn that off. I'm going to go get a drill and and that's it. It's loose, all ready to go. So we can just carry this holus bolus on the trailer and we'll go to the next property and we'll set it up again. That's good. That took about 10 minutes or something, including harvesting worms.